Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's show, it's cold frame number 2. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into 2 shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. Try to get rid of those air pockets. So you've seen my first cold frame. If not, go back and check the video from a year ago or so. And this year, throughout the process of late last year and this year, I have insulated my cabin inside here. So let me get a couple of quick shots for you to see how big this cabin is. And I insulated it and it's ready to go to make it into a cold frame. But before we talk about those things, let's give you a quick peek at this cabin. So inside, it's about 4 feet wide by 6 feet deep. Got my power source coming from back there in the corner. I put one shelf in last year and had some plants inside the cabin here that were Minnesota hardy, but I kept them in here to keep the critters away. So that is the inside of the cabin from the doorway angle. So I have 2 windows here, and I made these last year too, and they're just plexiglass. They're not glass, but they are double paned. So I've got one on this side of the cabin, and if I swoom around here, is that a word? I don't think that's a word. There's window number 2. So they are double paned, and I do tack them in to keep them in from strong winds, and that's helping keep insulated. The roof is insulated underneath my leftover fencing, which looks kind of nice. And all the walls are insulated as well with some water barrier to make sure that I've got some extra protection. So there's your quick 2-second tour there. It's not very big, but big enough for me to kind of maneuver around in here. And as I mentioned in the last video a year ago or so, with cold frames, the easier they are to access, the better you're going to be taking care of your trees. So make sure that you have a cold frame that you can open up a lot of big doors and reach in there to water, because we're going to have to come in here and water. So for every cold frame to stay where we would like it to stay, temperature wise and atmosphere wise, we have a couple of essential things that we have to have into this cold frame. So the first thing I have to show you here is just your common fan. You get this $12, $15 fan, and I've never attached these to the wall, but I'm going to go ahead and attach this one to the wall. The bottom of this fan has 2 little spots, and I'm going to put this right on the wall, right above my window, a little bit higher here, and then I can aim this and I can have this spreading some air every so often. So the key with the air is I'm not going to keep it on all the time. I'm going to have a timer that just kicks on the air every hour or so, every 2 hours for about 5 or 10 minutes. Just so it has enough to circulate the air, circulate some of the warmth that might be collecting up on top of my cabin here that's about 4 or 5 feet tall at the very peak. And so I want the fan to circulate, but only on every couple of hours, just to make sure we have some movement and not ultra stagnant air. My other thing that I have to do to make sure that the air is warm enough, of course, is a heater. So there's all kinds of ceramic heaters on the market. You go with what you're comfortable with. I buy just nothing majorly expensive. And this one has been a good one. I have one in my plant room in my house, so that just kind of stays up in that 70s range in the middle of winter. Even though it's a heated house and heated basement, that room can get kind of chilly. So for my tropicals, I have this down here. This is one of the new technologies. Of course, most of the ceramic heaters means that if this tips over, it's going to turn off automatically. For some reason, if any critters in here, which I doubt will happen, maybe mice, but we'll see. Either way, though, I want this to be safe. So there's going to be a lot of plants in here, and this is a wood structure and close proximity. We want to make sure that if this tips over, this release right here means that it's going to turn off. So we're going to go ahead and have the ceramic heater, and I'm going to have it on the fan selection of this heater, so it also blows out the heat, and then this fan will help circulate the air as well. And so the next thing I need to do is the most important part of the cold frame. Besides perhaps the insulation, and you don't waste a lot of energy by a lot of drafty areas and not insulation. You don't want the heater on non-stop. But the thermostat regulated power source. So this is going to go into my extension cord that goes into my house, and this is going to be set so it goes off the heater only when we get below freezing, so it keeps that temperature somewhere between 37 and 41 degrees. The one in my garage with this exact same unit and that exact same ceramic heater has been able to keep my cold frame in the garage comfortably at about 40 degrees all winter long. So we need our trees to go into dormancy. You can have it completely black in your cold frame, but a lot of the discussions in the last couple of years has been about lights. I've got my 2 windows and the windows in the door for some natural light, so they'll get light, but they really wouldn't need it. If you had a cold frame that's completely surrounded with insulation and it's closed, airtight almost, and light tight, you'd be fine. We need a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks of dormancy. Of course, in Minnesota, it's frozen for so long that we're going to get months and months of dormancy. But those buds will start to open up in the spring, you know, in the end of March and end of February and March, when it's starting to warm up out here and we don't need the heater as much, it's just going to naturally warm up. We got to watch that too, because buds are going to start to form on our trees, especially my Japanese maples are always early to bud inside the cold frame. So I'm going to pound this up on the wall so it gets kind of a nice neutral location as far as the heat. I'm going to keep it away from the heat source, find a place for the heater, find a place for the fan, and let's put it together. So there we have the fan. So I'm going to have that extension cord wrapped around here so we can get that fan circulating as we need to. And I can point it down, I can get it straight across, it's going to circulate in here just fine. So the thermostat regulated power source here, I think I'm going to have on the same wall that the cord from the fan will go on. And the heater probably on the same wall here as well. Now, heat rises, so I'm not going to keep my heater up here on the top shelf. I'm just going to go ahead and slide that down here on the bottom shelf. And that'll just be here in a nice secure place, probably somewhere in the middle. I'll show you that in a moment. But then this guy, I think I just want to kind of have hanging right over here at about the height that most of my plants on this top shelf will be hanging. So this will be kind of a mid-level temperature range, not the heat on top, not the cold on the bottom, and this will regulate the heat and turn on the power whenever I need it. So let me get a screw into the wall here and we'll fasten this guy. This shelf is mobile. I can move this shelf anywhere I want to in the structure, but I have my thermostat regulated power source right there. It hangs down right here at the end of this shelf before this little shelf is right here, and this will get a nice job of regulating that temperature, and as it needs to, it'll kick on the heat. So let me show you the heat source, and then we'll plug it in and see if we have some power on these items. So there's my fan sitting right up there at the top of the cabin. I can tilt it down just a little bit to get some circulating air. We come down here to the shelf. Here is the regulator that I just put in right here on the side, and right below the shelf there on the bottom shelf, keeping everything off the ground, is going to be the heater. So I will have some plants on both this side and this side of the heater, so what I'll probably do is scooch the heater out right here, so this heater will blow out this way, coming out this way, and not like totally damage these two trees and have heat just right on the trees. I'll keep it there for now. I might even be able to put a little stump right here and put the heater here, and I could even angle the heater this way, twist it a little bit, but I'll play with that to see how things go. I'll see how things go first, and then we'll tweak it from there. So we're ready to plug in our power sources, and so I have my 3-way adapter here that I'm going to put in my thermostat regulated power source. So that goes in here, and then the heater is going to go right into there. And so it's not going to work unless it's cold enough to go on, which right now on this beautiful weekend in Minnesota in mid-October, it might not be low enough to even turn on the fan, but we'll find out. And then this is my, the heater rather, and this is my fan, so I'm just going to plug this in for right now. I'll readjust my cables later and tack them in where I need to tack them so they're out of the way and functional. So right now, we'll just put them right over here. Tangled up, corded mess. Let's see if things work. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the fan up above me. There you have it. we have some power. We have some fan. So I got 3 levels on this fan. So I probably will keep it on low or medium for the winter months. I can go higher if I want to. Three choices are kind of nice. I'll leave it medium for right now. But I think in this really small room, small is all I'm going to need. Yeah, small is all I'll need. Test it out, see how the air is circulating, and it's going to help move some of the heat. Push it towards that wall, come back down here, and move it around. So that'll be nice to have that there. So I'll secure the cables in a little bit and get that going. Now I'm going to see if I can get this heat to go on. So let's turn this off. So here's the heat thermostated power source, and right now it's at negative 23. It's not negative 23 today, it's about 60 degrees still in Minnesota. So if I continue to turn this up, I'm going to slowly turn this up. Let me make sure my power is on. It's on fan, and we're going to have medium power. So I'm going to turn this on and we're going to listen to see if this goes on. I heard a little click. I do not feel the fan going on. Something's not working, so I need to investigate. So a little quick sample here, what went wrong. Here's your on button. If this is not depressed, your heater's not going to work, right? The tip over safety feature, this cord was wrapped around the button there so it wouldn't go down. So simple fixed. When this is pushed down, it'll work. So for your purposes, let's put it where you can see it, right about there. We got our thermostat regulated power source here. Let's try it one more time. So as I turn it, there it goes on. I have heat. Oh, can't tip it over. Turns it off. That was a good practice. I'm feeling heat coming right out here at me. The red light's up on there. I have a medium heat, and it'll warm up this place in here and turn off when it feels like this is going to be warm as we want it to be. So you have to play with this to make sure that it's turning on and off and getting the temperature that you want. Right now it's blowing direct air right on this, and if I turn it down ever so slightly, there it turns off. So I don't know how hot or cold it is right now, the temperature, because I don't have a thermometer right now. I will get one of those to put in here in the coming days. But right now, if it gets cold enough in here, this will trip off the heater and it'll work. So I have the heat source, I have the thermostat regulated power going to that heat source, and I have the fan above me. So I'm really set to go. The only thing else I need is going to be a thermometer so I know how hot or cold it is in here and see how things are working before I get my plants in here. So it's still 60 degrees through this weekend in October, but by Halloween and the start of November, highs are going to be in the 40s or upper 30s, and the lows are going to be down into the lower 30s, maybe even some 20s. So we're getting there. We're getting time to put in our plants. But I want to make sure this is all set up and all the cords are out of the way so it's easy for me to water, and we'll do part 2 of this video in a couple of weeks. So that's all I have to show you for now. A quick little update on my second cold frame for Dave's Bonsai. This is Dave Weiss, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into 2 shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. We try to get rid of those air pockets.